And to hear the Prime Minister in his 2 hour speech of talk about Pandit Nehru did not cause Pahalgam. Something that we managed to escape in the last 2 decades, that India and Pakistan are not on the same plane. Please dehyphenate us. If you're really a 56, practice the 56-inch diplomacy that you boast of, and back up your hubris. They will soon realize that my wife is stronger than me. So, मेरे साथ तो कोई chance हुआ नहीं. You'll have even less chance of finding anything to threaten my wife with.
Today we have with us Gaurav Gogoi. He's the Deputy Leader of the Congress Party in Lok Sabha, recently appointed as the President of the Assam Pradesh Congress Committee. He's an MP from Jorhat, with assembly elections in Assam next year, some 8-9 months now. So he has a busy schedule ahead. The format, Gaurav, is simple. If you can give an opening introduction, opening statement, that's fine. Otherwise, we'll go straight away to questions.
The only thing, thanks Manoj for having me here. I'm happy to always take questions about Assam and of course what's been going on in Parliament with Operation Sindoor, Pahalgam, SIR, and just having seen Parliament and the country from 2014, when the Congress reached quite a low point in terms of our seats in Parliament and in the number of states where we were in power. To come from 2014 to the last election in 2024, the last decade, the Congress Party has reinvented. I think India has also reimagined itself, and especially as a party where we are, I think we are on the cusp of a new chapter, and I believe so is the country, that it's on the cusp of a new chapter, as the results in 2024 so indicated. So for me, if I speak from the party's point of view, the 2022 Udaipur Chintan Shivir was a pivotal point where we really had to do a lot of soul searching, which led to the call for a Bharat Joro Yatra, which happened. And since then, I see a different India and a different Congress party, pre-Bharat Joro Yatra and post-Bharat Joro Yatra, and we continue to reinvent ourselves. And in Parliament, as a deputy leader, I've had the privilege of working with Sonia ji in the past Lok Sabha and with Rahul ji in this Lok Sabha as the LOP. And of course, I think Priyanka ji brings a lot of vibrancy to the Parliament, and she's really helped people of India think about some of our current issues in a very different manner.
Gaurav, let's start with Parliament only, because we just saw a 3-day debate in both houses on Operation Sindoor. The opposition raised a lot of questions. So tell us, what are the couple of things on which you didn't get an answer to from the government?
Simple. Who is responsible for Pahalgam? And is there a sense of responsibility in this government or not? Because we have not seen any form of responsibility, whether in the form of an apology to the people of India for failing them, not in the form of a resignation, not even in the form of admission, the kind of statement that the LG Manoj Sinha made. And to hear the Home Minister in his 1-hour speech talk about Pandit Nehru, and to hear the Prime Minister in his 2-hour speech of talk about Pandit Nehru did not cause Pahalgam. UPA certainly did not cause Pahalgam, and certainly not the late Dr. Manmohan Singh and Sonia ji. So I think what people of India, the victims of Pahalgam and Poonch, first needed to hear from their government was an honest admission of failure, an honest introspection on their responsibility, and some form of accountability, which totally, I think, BJP in their hubris brushed over. Secondly, this the military operation was different compared to the Balakot airstrike. Here, as per our top military generals, we faced a Pakistani Air Force backed by Chinese technology and Turkish military technology. And therefore, the rules of engagement had changed between Balakot and Operation Sindoor. And therefore, there has been admission by top military generals in various Indian public fora for the need for modernization, for the need of upgradation. Normally, we would have had this discussion in the previous budget session when we'd asked for a discussion on the demand for grants for defense, and it was totally denied. And here, that's what we're hearing in public fora. Our Indian Air Force, Indian generals, CDS, defense attaches, are analyzing the present state of Indian armed forces, and are we ready to take on a Pakistan backed by Chinese money and military technology? The government could have been, the defense minister could have been far more clearer on this. And I think they're only preaching to their own hardcore base by wasting close to 4 hours of parliamentary debate in Lok Sabha and then subsequently in Rajya Sabha, just blaming history and the historical decisions of past prime ministers for their failures in the present. I think the opposition put out some valid points. I think there were very strong speeches by Rahul ji, by Priyanka ji, by Kani Mozi ji. I think the opposition really managed to do our job, which is to ask questions which we feel are in the welfare of the Indian public.
As the opposition, you have the right to ask the government tough questions. And you mentioned about the speeches made by Rahul, Priyanka, Kanimuri and all. The LOP Rahul Gandhi asking the Prime Minister to show the courage and, call US President Donald Trump a liar and all, if he is not speaking the truth. But, this comes also at a time when India is negotiating a tough, a trade deal with the US. It's a complicated, complex process. So don't you think the opposition should also factor that in and give the government that much diplomatic space to maneuver, that deal as well, while you are attacking the government?
Well, what has the government achieved by adopting its present negotiating stance? They have not achieved a condemnation from the international community of Pakistan. If you look at past 26/11 11 reactions from the world, in many, especially that of UK, France, America, they condemned terrorism and they linked terrorism with Pakistan. Secretary of State at that point of time, Condoleezza Rice, named Pakistan. Secretary of State in the UK named Pakistan. France named Pakistan. But this time, from the world, you got a condemnation of terror, but nobody linked terror and Pakistan. Everybody asked India and Pakistan to exercise restraint. In a way, we got hyphenated again. Something that we managed to escape in the last 2 decades, that India and Pakistan are not on the same plane. Please de-hyphenate us. But the world hyphenated us. President Trump, for whom Prime Minister Modi has gone to great lengths to meet him in February, earlier this year. Earlier this year he met him in February. Obviously talking about bilateral investment, bilateral trade. You have reached a position where the president is hosting the brain behind Pakistani state-sponsored terrorism, which is the Pakistani armed forces. They hosted him. And you have the kind of language that the president is using in terms of India, and the kind of language which is increasingly hostile and combative, and the kind of language that he is using in terms of Pakistan, which is warm and glowing. And so much so now, see, yesterday they said that we might invest in the crude oil production of Pakistan. So, what has their diplomacy achieved? So, what we are telling the government is to grow a spine. If you're really a 56, practice the 56-inch diplomacy that you boast of, and back up your hubris. So I think the opposition, since the beginning, was supportive of the government on Pakistan. We backed them to the hilt to have a strong and significant reply to Pakistan. And we've also telling them to stand up to President Trump's, for the lack of better word, the kind of insult to our Indian Air Forces. So that's what we're telling. I think it should be essentially telling the government to just grow a spine.
Now, you just now mentioned about the hostile statements being made by the US president towards India. Now, only yesterday he said the Indian economy is dead, along with the Russian economy. Do you agree with his observation that the Indian economy is dead?
Well, we are in the middle of a bubble right now. If it is not for, I'm in the finance standing committee, and I look at the numbers very clearly. And I look at investment numbers, consumption numbers, saving numbers, purchasing numbers. And if it is not for the government investing in hugely in highways where there's not enough traffic, investing hugely in airports where flights cost 15,000 rupees, 16,000 rupees, if it was not for the government borrowing and then just spending a lot, then our economy is not firing at all. It is absolutely not firing. Our farmers are not productive. Our small businesses are not productive. Our entrepreneurs are not productive. So we are actually not firing. And what the government has managed to do is just give us new slogans and new milestones. Now, whatever happened to doubling farmers' income by 2022? Whatever happened to 5 trillion economy? And now we are in Viksit Bharat by 2050. So all they're doing is shifting the goalposts. That means they have put this hood of superfluous words, all of which doesn't mean anything. And what we're trying to do is lift the hood and say that there's real problem in the Indian economy. We're just not firing on the cylinders of investment, consumption, savings, agriculture, entrepreneurship. And we must do a lot more. I mean, look at the fact how many income tax payers there are. A country of 140 crores has close to 1.5 crores of income tax payers and 80 crores of people who need subsidized ration. That's the economy we are talking about. You might be large, but 80 crore of your people need subsidized ration, and only 1 crore or something earn enough to pay income tax. That's the state of the average Indian. And if the economy is not working for the average Indian, and the economy is only working for 3-4 companies who, by sheer proximity to the Prime Minister, they're doing well, I'm sorry, that's not an economy that works for the average Indian.
One question on Assam, and then I will open the floor for questions. The Congress suffered defeat in back-to-back defeats in 2016 and in 2021, from 26 seats in 2016 to just 29 seats in 2021. The Lok Sabha results were also not very heartwarming for you, only 3 seats. And the Panchayat elections recently saw a massive defeat for the Congress. So, how big is the challenge for you, to revive the Congress? The alliance is not working. That will come to it later. But how big is the challenge?
See, any election is a challenge, whether you're incumbent or you're in opposition. It's a challenge for many reasons. First of all, the electoral system is today not fair. The Election Commission does not provide a level playing field. Just in 2023, we saw in Assam how biased and partisan the election commission was in the way they undertook delimitation in the state of Assam, completely obliterating or destroying the principles of delimitation, where roughly each seat should have the same demography, same size of voters. They created some mega seats and they created some very small seats, all of which to suit the voting pattern of the BJP. They did not take any question. They did delimitation on the basis of a 22-year-old data of 2001 census, when we all know that the new census has been going on. So they wasted that money and that time and effort to redraw the map based on, in 2023, based on census data of 2001. So it is a challenge because you are playing an election commission which is not performing the role that the Indian citizen expects of it. And the election commission is not playing to the right of the voter to a level playing field, but instead they're playing to the tune of the ruling party. And therefore, there are legitimate worries about now, if you delimited seats as per your whims and fancies of a political party, and now you have voter lists, malpractices, voter list questions and queries. And this government makes it so, this election commission makes it so hard to verify the voter list. If tomorrow you want to download, as a journalist, you want to download the voter lists of let's say Bihar, and you want to see how many are fake, how many are migrant, well, good luck to you. It'll require crores of money, and it'll require lots of time, and all for what? So why are voter lists being so opaque to public scrutiny? So yes, that's a challenge too. And of course, if you ask me, particularly in my case, as a new state president, we have 8 months left. Our past election record has not been optimal, but do I sense that people are ready for a change? Absolutely, yes. And it's up to us on how hard we work, how smart we work, on making the election commission being a neutral body, and be on our own party mechanism, organization, campaign strategy. People are ready to vote for a change, that's without a doubt.
Rahul, mic is here.
So of late, your chief minister has, linked demolitions to demography. This has been a big push. The rationale being that the demographic change couldn't be avoided in lower and middle Assam, and now upper Assam, it seems to be a project that he has to save. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think there's been enough of a pushback from the Congress on this. At least not in assembly debates, but perhaps I'm wrong there. But in my limited interaction, and I say this as someone who's married to an Assamese, so in drawing room conversations also, there is this sentiment which he's obviously playing on, that there is this massive demographic change that needs to be stopped or needs to be curbed. So how do you counter that? Because this is something that is going on all guns blazing. That's number one. A second question, while we've seen Mamata Banerjee being very vocal about the push, about migrants being targeted, Muslim Bengali speaking migrants being targeted. Most of them have gone from Gurgaon, let's say, to her state. There's also correspondent Sukrita reported on a case of a village where young people in droves are coming back. Again, I'm yet to see the Congress respond to that, if at all. So these two things.
What the chief minister and the BJP are doing currently in Assam is politics. The evictions that are taking place are political evictions. The rhetoric that is underlying those evictions are political. And thankfully, the people of Assam and India are wiser than the Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sharma. They are wise to the tactics of the BJP. It is this very same Chief Minister who went to Jharkhand and shouted, Ghuspetiya, Ghuspetiya. And people of Jharkhand were wise and they could see through the hollowness of this rhetoric. They have been in power for the last 10 years in Assam and close now 11 years in the country. There have been many promises made by them in order to secure the rights of the indigenous Assamese. Not one has been fulfilled. The NRC was supposed to be the answer to their politics, to their fear-mongering. NRC is incomplete. Clause 6 of the Assam Accord was supposed to be the answer to their fear-mongering. Clause 6, they created a report which the center has not accepted, even though Home Minister Amit Shah thumped his hand on the table saying, हमने वो किया जो राजीव गांधी नहीं कर पाए. कुछ नहीं किया, वो रिपोर्ट पड़ा हुआ है. Delimitation was the answer. तो हर बार वही बातें करते हैं, कुछ नई चीजें करते हैं, तभी भी फिर वही बातें करते रहते हैं. So people are smart, people are wise, whether it's tribals, whether it's Assamese, whether it's linguistic minorities, religious minorities, everybody is wise to the tactics of the BJP. If they really cared about forests, then they would have protected the forest from all the various mafias that operate there. The stone mafia, the coal mafia, the illegal quarries. So people understand that this is a desperate attempt of a chief minister, desperate to cling on to power, because the minute the Congress party comes into power, he will have to face investigations for all the corruption and crimes done and committed by him and his cronies and his colleagues, and they will have to face the public for that. So these are all the actions of a desperate man, in my opinion, and people are wiser. And what people expect from us is that if we come to power, what is this alternate vision of Assam? What are our priorities? What are we going to do on higher education? What are we going to do if we are unhappy with the current economic model? How are we going to work with local industries? How are we going to help local entrepreneurs? How are we going to build up local artisans? If we are wanting our culture to be preserved, how are we going to preserve and promote the culture of the various ethnic groups and tribal communities? That's what people expect of us, and that's what we're focusing on. Oh, as per, again, and your second question again, which is linked to the how people are being forced out. Again, remember this time in 2021, at that time, Amit Shah ji क्या बोलते थे? Chronology हमको सिखाते थे. NRC की chronology, CA की chronology. Come election, comes the same BJP rhetoric. People have seen it for the last 10 years. People expect more. Congress is trying hard to live up to people's expectations and continues to reinvent and reimagine itself. But the BJP is still on feeding the people, its voters and its party workers, the same diet of fear and hate. And I feel both their voters and their workers are fed up.
Vikas here, Vikas Patil. The 2024 elections in that sense, Lok Sabha was a big boost to the Congress, and the Congress almost reached the 3-digit mark. But after that, Haryana was a surprise. Then Maharashtra, Delhi. I think Jharkhand was the only state in which the BJP itself did badly, because in Jammu also they did pretty well. So apart from the attack on the EVMs and the Election Commission, which has been a theme that the Congress has been talking about, because EVM in that sense has been there for the last 10 years, what is the internal learning of the Congress from this? Why is it that after that takeoff, somehow it has not continued at the moment?
What we're doing right now is continuing to be disciplined to our goal of bringing about social justice. This was started early last year during the Bharat Joro Nyaya Yatra. That's where we were talking about social reform through the caste census, through the constitution being a living document and preserving its soul. And that's something that we continue to be disciplined about, focusing on the caste census, also looking at the rights of various people to vote fairly, to be able to exercise their vote, to have their names on the voters list. No doubt, the losses in Haryana and Maharashtra are a setback. But if anything, if the era from 14 to 24 has taught us that we have faced these kind of setbacks before, we have overcome these setbacks before, we know how to overcome these setbacks and move forward. What we're really focusing on, and you can see this clearly in Rahul Gandhiji's push and with our India Alliance as well, is to ensure that people of India in future elections have a level playing field, have the right to exercise their vote, where their vote is not taken away because of their political opinion. And more, and for India to be a viable democracy, the, the, the election commission must be held accountable to the people. Today, we are demanding a discussion for the past 7 days on the updation of voter lists and how people in Bihar, they are being forced to cough up money to get some photocopies of birth certificate. 80-year-old women have to scrummage through their belongings to find out their school leaving certificate. Daily wage laborers are facing so much problems. And if you, as I said, if you want to download voter lists and scrutinize them, even you can't do it. So the fundamental nature of elections is at stake with the way the election commission role is being forced into a partisan manner. And if we don't course correct, if we don't hold the election commission back from going down this rabbit hole, then you can see other neighboring countries where the election commission did not play a fair role. And this all just leads to resentment amongst the youth. The youth don't like to be told that now you can vote, now you can't vote. The youth likes to have the freedom to be curious, to understand, to express the political right. So I think we are doing something very important, and we hope that others would also join in, because to preserve the nature of elections should be a project of the nation and not just of a political party solely.
Another thing is that, taking in that sense, in public perception, Congress and BJP have been the national parties. Technically, there might be some others. But phenomenologically speaking, over the last 11 years, what I perceive at least is that the Congress has been largely talking about one, from Mr. Rahul Gandhi, there has been a very clear critique of Mr. Modi. In fact, sometimes even personalized, which is vice versa. It's true both ways. Then his argument has been that 2 or 3 industrialists are getting all the benefits. Third argument would be that peace and amity between communities in India is suffering. And now, over the last 1.5 years, there's this question of social justice that comes. Now, on the contrary, Mr. Modi, in that sense, speaks and his party behaves as if he is the representative voice of India. That is how they project it. And that apart, he talks a lot about hope, the future, Viksit Bharat till 2047. And that is how his party also projects it. And of course, muscular nationalism, which has been a repeated theme. Now, my question to you would be that, as the party of the main vehicle of the freedom struggle, which the Indian National Congress was, and as a party that had leaders like Nehru, Indira Gandhi, Rajiv Gandhi, who were at one point of time seen as quote unquote the leaders of India, what is the Congress thinking about the fact that Mr. Modi has, it seems successfully, become the mainstream embodiment, so to say, of Indian nationalism, and somehow the Congress is not being able to claw back? Can you reflect on that?
Well, I disagree with your final conclusion, because then Mr. Modi would have come back to power 2024 with a thumping majority. The fact that internally, or they were projecting 400 par and themselves could not reach a majority on their own, and their very visible losses in Baswada and Ayodhya, and a low in the northeast, loss of both seats in Manipur. I don't see Prime Minister Modi having the same holding the same mantle and the same space, both inside Parliament and outside Parliament in election rallies also, uh, that he had in his first 5 years. I believe, when we speak to others, I think somehow Indian thinking has changed, maybe in the post-COVID era, in a way, maybe, anecdotally speaking. But Indian people have shifted. So if you look at trends, I think clearly, Prime Minister Modi is on a declining trend. I really don't see him as the sole factor in Haryana or Maharashtra. I feel there are multiple other reasons for us doing not so well and them doing well. I don't think Prime Minister Modi is a factor in the critique of Haryana and Maharashtra, for that matter, even Jharkhand. So I feel the Congress is really speaking to young voters right now. Rahul Gandhi, in his t-shirt and sandal avatar, in the way the kind of content he's producing on social media, the kind of authenticity that he's presenting is far more relatable right now than the overt hubris that Prime Minister Modi is trying to do. Prime Minister Modi maybe was relatable when he was selling the Gujarat model, Vikas model. That's how they came to power in 14, the Chaiwala story and all that. Somehow I see that the BJP's politics, rhetoric being stagnant, the Congress being far more vibrant, and Priyanka ji brings in another layer of freshness. I think her speech in Parliament was so powerful because it spoke to the victims. And it just shows how far removed Home Minister Amit Shah and Prime Minister Modi are. They didn't even mention the victims. They didn't have the heart to say sorry that we failed. There was just no heart. There's no heart left. So I really feel that, as I said in my opening statement, that Congress on the cusp, we figured out how to speak to the present society, speak to the present state of political affairs. And that's why we've remained consistent ever since Bharat Jodo Yatra.
Assam.
Hi, sir. Sir, you mentioned the Udaipur meeting that happened where a lot of decisions were taken regarding the revival of the Congress. Some of the decisions and some of the resolutions that were taken at that meeting have not been implemented completely, like the rule of one person not holding a post for more than 5 years. We have several examples where people are holding posts in the party for more than 5 years. Then the age cap.
Well, I'm an example, deputy leader and state party president.
Yeah.
Holding two posts.
You're yourself an example. There are several other examples. We saw in Belgaum when the CWC met for the annual session in December last year. There was an announcement of a big movement called the Jai Bapu, Jai Samvidhan, Jai Bhim, and that we see that the central leadership makes decisions, but somehow the decisions and the implementation is lacking from Udaipur to Belgaum, and otherwise in movements also we see that it doesn't really reach the ground, it doesn't really reach the districts where the actual voter is. So why do you think that this issue and the resolutions not being followed is there?
Again, I don't agree with your basic premise. For it to be visible to you, I have to take a lot of steps for you to finally notice कि हाँ कुछ हुआ है. For it to be visible to the voter, the party has to take a lot of steps before the voter realizes, yeah, this is something different. But does that mean the steps are not being taken? Not at all. I think we've done a lot of work, especially in this year, which this year in a previous CWC has been dubbed by our Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge as the year of the organization. And the way every state leadership has come to Delhi, discuss their state issues, the way they are going to states and meeting district level presidents and solely meeting district level presidents. You tell me, give me an example of the BJP doing that. But in this year only itself, I can, last 4 months, I can count 3-4 states in which the top leadership of the party has gone to a state and had a 1 or a 1.5 hour discussion with district presidents to figure out, okay, at the level of that, of the district level organization party, what do you think? This is what we are thinking. Will it work or not work? So I think, there's been a lot of preparatory work, groundwork that has started of this year. And you will see the results of it. And like the way that I'm sitting here in 2025, pointing to something that happened in Udaipur, which was, 2022, you will see me again, hopefully, if you call me after 4 years, saying that, remember, Asad, I said things had started, it had started. And that's why we reached where we are in, let's say, 2028.
One more quick question, sir. The government is saying that there will be no discussion on the SIR in Parliament. They're saying that since the EC is a constitutional body and the SIR is an exercise being done by it, how do you propose that, who's going to answer on behalf of the EC? And B, what is the opposition going to do if the government does not halt this exercise at all? Because we've seen that the court case is ongoing and the protests and all are happening, but the process is still ongoing. What is the opposition's plan or strategy going to be going forward?
Well, to be fair to the government, they have not set that reason on the record officially.
No, Mr. Rijiju had just
today.
He said it today that the government
Well,
can't answer on behalf of.
it's a clerical reason. The way voters in Bihar have to show up with, various papers to get their name registered on the voters list, Mr. Rijiju, if he has said so, is just citing various historical papers to say that they can't be a discussion. Absolutely false. He's misleading the public. Have we not discussed electoral bonds in Parliament? We've discussed electoral bonds. Have we not discussed Election Commission at all? Of course, we have discussed Election Commission. So don't give us a clerical reason that ये किसका department है, किसका अंदर आ जाता है. They are genuine grievances of the people. And we as opposition are trying to bring them to a debate in Parliament so the government can address those grievances and find out a way that people have to spend money, they have to waste time, they're foregoing daily wages, they're going hungry. This is just being done 2-3 months before the election. You just had an election last year. So there are genuine grievances which we want to bring, and there are many formats within the Parliament for you to have a discussion on an important topic without it being held under the ambit of a particular ministry. There's been enough. Did we just not have a discussion which was not on Operation Sindoor, which was not under the ambit of the Ministry of Defence? So if you want, and if you have the courage, and if you feel that sense of responsibility to the voter, to the right of the average voter, to know what's happening with their democracy, then Parliament allows you that space. And if your intention is to be opaque, not being held to scrutiny, then you'll find various clerical, technical reasons. But absolutely, this Parliament belongs to the House of People, and all public issues can be brought to the Parliament and be discussed and debated there.
Hi, Mr. Gogoi. My name is Harikishan Sharma. I ask you the following follow-up question on what Asad asked you. We have seen your party and other opposition parties protesting inside the House on several issues. and on SIR particularly, uh, the opposition parties have been protesting for several days and have stalled the proceeding of the House. And there has been a trend that several leaders of your party has also opposed court on many issues. But the similar zeal we have not seen taking these issues to the people, protesting in the street, protesting the way like the opposition protested during 2004 and 2014. So the similar kind of protest we have not seen from the opposition. Uh, what we are seeing is that the opposition parties are raising people's issue in both houses of parliament and approaching Supreme Court when the issue come up. But why there's a kind of a hesitation on taking out protests in the streets and connecting with people?
Well, right now we are in Parliament. So our focus is on the Parliament to bring the government to account to answer. We can go to the street, but we will not get the government's answer. We will go to the street to create public awareness, mass awareness. But Parliament is the only forum where the people can hear the government's reply on that issue. And thankfully, this Parliament has been extended to 21st. We want to hear the reply. So, let us exercise all efforts, all options for the government to come and speak to genuine questions. And then we can move on to other topics. Now, isn't it strange that Mr. Rijiju only a few days ago said we are ready for discussion on all matters? सब चीज़ों पे हम चर्चा कर सकते हैं. अब बोल रहे हैं कि नहीं, इस पे तो कर ही नहीं सकते, रूल है ही नहीं, गाइडलाइन है ही नहीं. ये तो पहले नहीं बोला. जब पार्लियामेंट से पहले there was an all party meeting in which the government was there. We all political parties first raised Pahalgam and Operation Sindoor as an issue of priority for the upcoming parliament session. And second was SIR. तब तो गवर्नमेंट ने नहीं बोला कि अच्छा कैसे उठाएं. They didn't raise that objection before. Now they're raising this technical objection. This is just a way to obfuscate, and clearly there has been some hanky-panky, some dirty tricks, something to hide, obfuscate, divert, be opaque about. And what we clearly see that, vote chori ho rahi hai. The lists are being manipulated with. And that's dangerous, not for only us as political parties, but you as a citizen who believes in a fully functioning modern democracy. It's not only our responsibility, but for responsibility of every citizen. And then there are other topics we want to discuss. We want to know what happened with Honorable Vice President. You were so in such good books, such warm words between Prime Minister Modi, Honorable Vice President, and now Honorable Vice President, for health reasons, has to leave his post, and Prime Minister Modi comes up with a tweet that you've enjoyed many positions. I wish you well. So isn't it, isn't that also a fundamental question that we should ask in this Parliament? That there are so many doubts related to the manner in the Vice President of India is leaving his role as a person occupying a constitutional post. He's not a person holding a post in the party. He's the Vice President. And there are such questions around the circumstances of his departure. I think all of this is points to the fact that let us have this discussion on SIR and then move on to other discussions.
So the EC has announced date for Vice President elections. Has the opposition parties started figuring out their candidate for the post?
ये आपको क्यों बताएं? That's not a thing to be discussed in public. Obviously, they have different phases of preparation for an election. And and we are all in our faces. We might be, you know, thinking of who to promote from our party. We might be talking to disgruntled people in the other party. We might be talking to people who want to join politics for the first time and contest elections. Why will we reveal our? Nobody will reveal what they're up to. But by and large, to give my experience, I'm someone who's had some amount of professional experience outside of politics, whether in the corporate world, in marketing and consulting, or in the non-profit world with some NGO work, social work. I have found that to be very useful for me in politics because a that kind of real world experience, having come from a chief minister's family and a political family, to have that kind of real world experience where in the NGO world, corporate world, nobody asks who your father is or what political family you belong to or what are your political opinions. You're on your own. To have that experience and now come here, start my career as a media panelist, my political career as a media panelist, then to a deputy leader. I think that that experience has really helped me. Also because कल को जाके एक दिन सबको इलेक्शन हारना ही है, मैं भी हारूंगा एक दिन, तो उस हारने के बाद कुछ तो मैं कर पाऊंगा। एनजीओ में किसी में हम सोशल वर्क काम करेंगे या किसी के साथ हम कुछ मार्केटिंग कंसल्टिंग काम करेंगे। सो it's good to have some skills so that to sustain ourselves and our families the day we lose an election.
Deeptimal.
This is Deeptimal Tiwari. I'll take you back to your state, where the chief minister of the state has been constantly making certain allegations against you and your family. In fact, he has even opened an inquiry, which he couple of days ago threatened will transfer to the National Investigation Agency, and constantly says that you and your wife are Pakistan links. Could you clarify on this, and could you tell us how do you respond to these allegations?
वो तो अभी पार्लियामेंट के अंदर होम मिनिस्टर भी बोले कि गोगोई जी आप पाकिस्तान कई बार गए। सो समबडी हैज ब्रीफ द होम मिनिस्टर रॉन्गली। मैं गया हूँ, एक बार गया हूँ, और जब मोदी जी बिरयानी खाने गए थे ना, उससे पहले गया हूँ। जब मोदी जी ने शरीफ साहब को बुलाया था अपने शपथ ग्रहण के लिए, उससे पहले एक बार मैं गया हूँ। तो क्या ये 14-15 साल पहले की बातें कर रहे हैं। मेरी वाइफ को लेके भी दे टॉकिंग अबाउट थिंग्स विच हैव हैपेंड 10-12 years ago. So as I said, people are smarter. In my case, they tried everything. They first did delimitation. My previous seat of Kolyabor, where I won from 14 and 19, they just splintered and swallowed it up. Then in Jorhat, they came, the entire cabinet sat and spent a lot, and that didn't work. And now they think by targeting my wife, they'll have some better luck. So they will soon realize that my wife is stronger than me. So मेरे साथ तो कोई chance हुआ नहीं. They'll have even less chance of finding anything to threaten my wife with. And as a politician, as someone who is in public life, I must also express grateful to my wife, who has been dragged into the public domain, but still telling me that you go ahead and you practice your politics and you don't bend. I think as someone in the public life, I would not have had that strength if I didn't have that from her.
सर लालमणि दिस साइड 2 दिन पहले सर पार्लियामेंट में जब रिजोल्यूशन आया मणिपुर में प्रेसिडेंट रूल को एक्सटेंड करने का, उसमें अपोजिशन इंक्लूडिंग आपके जो इनर मणिपुर के कांग्रेस के एमपी हैं, उनका आर्गुमेंट था कि अभी जो एटमॉस्फेयर बहुत अच्छा नहीं है और फ्रेश इलेक्शंस होने चाहिए, अ फ्रेश मैंडेट शुड कम. सो अकॉर्डिंग टू यू, आप उस रीजन से आते हैं, ग्राउंड सिचुएशन क्या है और क्या वेदर दिस जो ग्राउंड सिचुएशन है, इज इट कंडूसिव फॉर conducting fresh elections?
देखिए, कमिंग फ्रॉम देयर, मुझे इसमें थोड़ा सा बोलने का वक्त दीजिए। इसके 2-3 पहलू हैं। सबसे पहला पहलू तो है गृह मंत्री की विफलता। गृह मंत्री देश को बचाने में असफल रहे। ना देश को उरी में बचाया, ना देश को पुलवामा में बचाया, ना देश को पहलगाम में बचाया, ना देश को मणिपुर में बचाया। इतने असफल गृह मंत्री, जो उनका मकसद है, काम है, दायरा है हमारे आंतरिक सुरक्षा को संभाल के रखने का, उसी में वो बार बार विफल हुए हैं। और आज तक ना किसी में क्षमा मांगते हैं, ना किसी में अपनी गलती मांगते हैं। हर चीज़ में पंडित नेहरू और कांग्रेस पार्टी जुड़ी। दूसरी बात यह है कि हमने उत्तर पूर्वांचल में विशेष रूप से राजनीति के द्वारा विभिन्न समुदाय के लोगों में शांति हम लाने में सफल रहे। वो चाहे मेघालय हो, असम हो, मणिपुर हो, नागालैंड हो, इन सभी प्रदेशों में 80 के दशक में उग्रपंथी अंडरग्राउंड अपने अपने समुदाय, अपने अपने पहचान को लेकर उन्होंने हाथ में हथियार लिए थे। और यूपीए के सरकार की शुरुआत में, वाजपेयी सरकार के अंत में और यूपीए सरकार के दशक में राजनीति के द्वारा ये हम शांति ला पाए। आज सबसे पहले तो मुझे उसी का ही दुख होता है कि जो राजनीति, जिसको बहुत लोग बड़े नकारात्मक तरीके से देखते हैं, देश के हमारे एक अहम हिस्से में शांति लाने में सफल हुई, अमन और चैन लाने में सफल हुई, वही राजनीति आज एक प्रदेश के 2 हिस्से कर दिए और इतना गहरा घाव डाला उस राजनीति ने कि 2 समुदाय के बीच में इतना तनाव है, इतना गहरा घाव है कि इस घाव पर मरहम लगाना, इस घाव को ठीक करने में एक और दशक 15 साल तो लग ही जाएंगे। क्या इसका मतलब कि सरकार वहाँ पे एक स्थिर सरकार नहीं बना सकते? नहीं, स्थिर सरकार बना सकते हैं। क्या इसका मतलब चुनाव नहीं हो सकते? अभी अभी तो लोकसभा में चुनाव नहीं हुए क्या? तो सब कुछ, अगर राजनीतिक मंशा हो तो हो सकता है। और यही मणिपुर के लोगों की मांग है। आपने 24 में निर्वाचन कराएं। आप बीजेपी में बीरेन सिंह जी के खिलाफत थी, लोग उन्हीं के लोग असंतुष्ट थे, तो इसीलिए उनकी राजनीतिक जो उनकी ताकत थी अपने पार्टी में कमज़ोर हुई। तो कोई और रास्ता निकाले, पर एक स्थिर सरकार तो दें। कहाँ आप प्रदेशों का हक छीनेंगे? जम्मू कश्मीर में यूटी कर दिया, लद्दाख में यूटी कर दिया, अब यहाँ पर भी कोई लोगों की चुनी हुई सरकार नहीं। तो बहुत से जायज़ सवाल मणिपुर को लेके हैं और ये मुझे लगता है कि मणिपुर प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी के रिकॉर्ड में एक बहुत बड़ा काला धब्बा है।
एक और चीज, लास्ट वीक इधर राहुल जी ने जो 2 मीटिंग्स की ओबीसी को लेके, बड़ी मीटिंग हुई, उसमें उन्होंने कंसर्न शो किया कि हम उतना नहीं कर पाए, उनकी प्रॉब्लम को समझ नहीं पाए और उस स्पेस को ग्रैब कर लिया बीजेपी ने। बट बीजेपी के अलावा छोटी पार्टीज भी, रीजनल पार्टीज भी हैं, उन्होंने भी वो किया। अब उसको जो नुकसान हो गया उसकी भरपाई के लिए कांग्रेस क्या करी एक्सेप्ट डिमांड फॉर कास्ट?
देखिए, पहले तो इस विषय को, जैसे राहुल जी ने कहा कि ये हमारे नज़र के किसी कोने में नहीं, हमारे दृष्टिकोण में एकदम हमारे सामने और हमारे दृष्टिकोण में एकदम केंद्र बिंदु के हिसाब से हम इसको ग्रहण कर रहे हैं, स्वीकार कर रहे हैं। सामाजिक न्याय और पिछड़ों का और दलितों का विकास, चाहे राजनीतिक हो, सामाजिक हो, सांस्कृतिक हो या आर्थिक हो, तो कोने से एक राष्ट्रीय पार्टी के लिए जिसके सामने विभिन्न मुद्दे हैं, उसको फ्रंट एंड सेंटर में रखना ही बहुत बड़ी, मुझे लगता है, एक पहल है। और एक बार फ्रंट एंड सेंटर पे आ गए तो अलग अलग कदम हम लेते रहेंगे। वो चाहे कास्ट सेंसस हो, वो चाहे 50% कैप की तोड़ने की बात हो, वो चाहे प्राइवेट शिक्षा अनुष्ठानों में राइट टू एजुकेशन लागू करना हो, 25% रिजर्वेशन लाना हो उसमें, तो बहुत से पहलू अपने आप स्वाभाविक रूप से आते जाएंगे। कुछ का उन्होंने उजागर किया भी है, उन्होंने प्राइवेट इंस्टीट्यूशंस में पिछड़ों की हिस्सेदारी की बात की है। और सिर्फ बात नहीं, तेलंगाना में हमने दिखाया भी, और उसको बार बार हम मॉडल की तरह दिखा रहे हैं कि ये एक बेंचमार्क है। केंद्र सरकार कल को जाके अगर कास्ट सेंसस करे तो तेलंगाना से बेहतर करे या तेलंगाना के बराबर करे, उससे कमज़ोर काम ना करे जैसे उन्होंने डिलिमिटेशन के द्वारा असम में किया है। तो मुझे लगता है कि बहुत ही सकारात्मक है और कहीं ना कहीं उस बात से जुड़ा हुआ है कि आज हमारी अर्थव्यवस्था में अगर देश चल रहा है जैसे कि उन्होंने कहा, उन मज़दूरों और किसानों के कारण, उन गिग वर्कर्स के कारण, उन सिक्योरिटी गार्ड्स के कारण, उन घर में काम करने वाले लोगों के कारण आप और हमारा ज़िंदगी चल रहा है। और वो अगर आप देखेंगे तो वो सारे ज़्यादातर पिछड़ों के वर्गों से और दलितों के वर्गों से आएंगे।
दामिनी,
I want to ask you about the SIR, particularly in Assam, because Assam is the only state which has the category of D voters and has an NRC. So you've had an experience of this, kind of exercise before. Do you believe that Assam has a problem of foreigners in the electoral roll? And if not the SIR, is there a need to be in the electoral roll? As the Election Commission is saying repeatedly that illegal, immigrants have joined the electoral roll. Firstly, is that an issue in Assam according to you? And does it need to be there?
Okay, now, there are 3-4 issues in it. If my personal view is that we are all elected on the basis of this electoral roll. Prime Minister Modi is Prime Minister because of this electoral roll. BJP, if they have a lot of MPs from Bihar and MPs from Assam, is on the basis of this electoral roll. And to do it in this manner, which is not democratic, which is not fair, which is not accessible to the poor, needy and marginalized, there's a lot of questions related to its manner also. So the legitimacy of the exercise, when you've been elected a year back, this government is been elected on the basis of the previous role, and now in state elections you feel, no, this is wrong. You should give up, then you should hold the previous election commission to account. What accountability is there on the previous election commissioner, whose job is to see that voter lists are updated, that fake voters are removed, that those who are no longer alive are removed? This is a job. So have we held the previous election commission to account? The political timing of this exercise, the rhetoric around this exercise, that's at the national level. Come to Assam. The NRC, when it got released, has not been accepted by the state. You spent close to 600 crores. It was monitored on the Supreme Court. Its last stages were done under a BJP-ruled state government. And that was the big weapon, security shield, the sorting out mechanism to sort out Indians and those who have entered India illegally post 1971, because we have the Assam Accord also to define who is an Indian citizen. So in a way, the BJP just doesn't want to solve problems. They don't want to take solutions to its logical end. So the NRC remains questionable. Many feel that because the BJP didn't do a thorough job of verifying it, many feel that people both within the NRC are people who have who should not be on the NRC, and many people who should be in the NRC are excluded from the NRC because there are 19 lakh people who no longer feature on the NRC. So the NRC needs to be cleaned up. The people of Assam, the amount of money we spent, the amount of paperwork they had to show, the amount of time that went into that effort, need a verifiable NRC. Then there is the question of D-voter, foreign tribunal. Now those who are unfamiliar with Assam, all of this will go over their heads because really, Assam is a very complex case when it comes to citizenship. We have something called D-voter, doubtful voter, where you are considered as an Indian citizen, but you can't vote because you have a D next to your voter list. We have a different date for citizenship as per the Assam Accord. We've had the NRC, which nobody else has. So we are a complex case when it comes to these matters. They're absolutely genuine concerns, but laws exist for you to identify a Bangladeshi. You are also on the border, so to ensure that no Bangladeshi enters India illegally. You are in charge of the borders from which people enter in India illegally. All the laws are there, provided if you want to fix the problem. If you don't want to fix the problem, you want to keep the problem in perpetuity, then you'll always come up with some new rhetoric. And I think that's what's been the most disappointing for the BJP voter, is that here they are for 10 years. 10 years ago, they said it was the last battle for Saraighat. Prime Minister Modi said, come 2016, BJP government in Assam and all the illegal Bangladeshis have to pack up their bags and run away. It's been 10 years and you're still saying the same thing. So again, as I said, people have just, there's a fatigue amongst the voters with this rhetoric of the BJP.
I have another question related to the Election Commission. So, since Chief Election Commissioner Ganesh Kumar took over in Feb this year, he's had meetings with all national and state parties, except for the Congress. The Congress has not yet, accepted the invitation or met the Election Commission. Is there a reason for this delay that you can share with us? And what are the issues that you would like to raise with the Election Commission regarding electoral reforms, apart from the electoral roll and the SIR issue?
I'm not sure, but I do believe that Abhishek Manu Singhvi ji, on behalf of Congress, met the Election Commission along with a group of other political parties. There were certain conditions in that meeting that more people should be allowed. That was a request from us and they were not allowed.
That was a delegation meeting on SIR.
Ah.
What she's asking is EC has asked all the parties individually to meet the EC.
Okay.
And give suggestions on electoral rolls, and not just electoral rolls but electoral reforms. So all the parties have met. The Congress has so far not met the EC. They had asked for some time also, I believe.
Yeah, so during the Operation Sindoor time, they had sought some time, Congress president, but after that it hasn't been rescheduled and there is no movement on this.
Unfortunately, I'll have to get back to you on that because my understanding was that as part of an active member of the Eagle body, we have raised many issues with the Election Commission. By and large, with the current chief, with his public posturing, there remains a lot of questions because you need an atmosphere of mutual faith and trust and dialogue to have a really good discussion, open, thoughtful discussion around electoral reform. We've not seen that atmosphere in this current election commission. The language, I feel, has been unnecessarily quite hostile from the election commission. And therefore, even Mr. Gandhi has said very strong words in respect to the election commission. And I'm sure that we have so much of evidences around malpractices in Karnataka, in Maharashtra, that we would present all that data to the Election Commission in the near future. And speaking to a question before, it's necessary to also educate the masses about their right to vote and their ability to check whether their vote is still registered, and also to coordinate our political efforts with other political parties.
One last question on election preparedness in Assam. The last assembly elections, you had an alliance with Badruddin Ajmal's AIUDF. Now the Congress has snapped ties with AIUDF and they have decided to go alone. There is an united opposition platform. AIUDF, they have decided to go alone recently. There's a united opposition platform of which the Congress is not a part. Your ally, Akhil Gogoi, is really upset with you. So going into an election, do you plan to ally with any party or rally together the other opposition parties?
I've said in various forums that Congress party will not fight the 2026 election alone. By virtue of that, obviously, we would seek to build some form of understanding with different stakeholders, all of which we are, we are in dialogue with through backdoor channels. And the Congress is the largest party amongst all the opposition parties. The party that you mentioned of Akhil Gogoi has 1 MLA out of 126. There's another party which has 0 MLAs. So, the Congress is the single largest actor, stakeholder in the opposition space. But we have to but in order to achieve that target of crossing the halfway mark, we have to do a lot of work within our organization. Not only to support Congress candidates, but also to support those candidates of parties with whom we will ally in the future. So right now, having taken over responsibility of the party recently, our current and immediate focus is to revitalize the party, is to connect with the masses and come up with an agenda that creates enthusiasm amongst the voters. Once we've done that, we will take our talks that we're having in our backdoor channels to its formal and logical conclusion.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Gaurav, for spending such a lot of time with us. Thank you.
Thanks.